Hi, my name is Alroy Almeida. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of Voltera, and we're here with the V1 desktop electronics prototyping machine. We're going to do a quick sample print to show you what the workflow would look like for printing a circuit board. However, we also do dispense solder paste and reflow as well, all within the same machine. So let's get started. This is the Voltera software. As you can see, the three main functionalities: print, solder, and reflow. And the top over here, direct links to our community forum and settings, contact support, current XYZ, and temperature readings from the machine and all of that. So let's jump into print. There's two options here, simple and aligned. Aligned is what you would be using for double-sided circuit boards, or if you wanted to align to a circuit board that was fabricated at a factory and you just wanted to dispense solder onto it. We're going to go with a simple print right now. Just a single-sided board, and we're going to print our Hello World circuit, which is the first circuit that any of our customers print when they unbox the machine. It's a very simple flashing LED circuit in order to get them started. So we're going to click on the Hello World tutorial, and you can see the Hello World circuit automatically gets a print preview with the entire toolpath for the machine. I'm going to click Next. And so I'd like to highlight the fact that on the right-hand side over here, we have videos playing during every single step of the process. So it's really, really clear exactly what you need to be doing and how to interact with the machine. So right now, I'm being told to clamp the board down. So I've already got a blank circuit board over here, and the clamps are right there. So I'm going to basically slide it under the clamps, tighten down on the thumb screws. And we're ready to go. Clamping the board down, make sure that it doesn't move during the printing process so that your entire circuit stays aligned during the entire process. Next, so I'm being told to mount the probe. The probe, I'll get into a little bit of what it actually does, but essentially it's a Z-axis measuring tool. As you can see, all of the tools just magnetically snap right onto the printer. It's extremely simple to use. Next step is to position the circuit. So right now, the software knows that there's a circuit that has to be printed somewhere on this print area, but it doesn't know if you've mounted the board here, 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 here. You want to usually mount it directly in the center, but just to make sure that it's printing on the right spot, we're going to do a quick outline of the board. So right now what is happening is that it is finding the tooltip for the probe. So it's measuring the X, Y, and Z locations of the end of the effector. So that was Z, and now it'll move in the X and Y to locate the head in the X and Y. So the reason it's important to have a Z-axis probe, and it's something that we spent a lot of time developing, is that during the printing process, you want to be able to make sure you're maintaining a very specific amount of space between the nozzle tip on the dispensing heads and the surface of the board. If you say you've got an 8mm trace or a 10mm trace, you want to make sure it's actually holding that trace width. If you're too low, you're going to be spreading out, or worse, you might crash the nozzle. And if you're too high, you're going to have gaps in the traces. So it's important to maintain a very specific distance. So as you saw over there, it just did a quick outline over here, and so we can confirm that the circuit will be printed in the center of this board. I'm gonna click Next, and this is the probing sequence. So it's essentially just going to take several measurements of the surface of the board and create essentially a topographical map of the surface. FR4 is a fairly flat substrate, but just to make sure we're accurate to a couple microns, it's very important to complete this step. You can see here, there's a countdown for just how long it's going to take. It started at about 30 seconds, and we've got, it stopped here at 1 second, and we're all done. Could reprobe if we needed to, but we're just going to click Next. And you can see here, remove the probe. So that comes off. And next, we're going to prime the conductor. So this is the solder paste, and this is the conductor. So priming the conductor just makes sure that we have the appropriate pressure within the cartridge over here to make sure that it's going to be extruded at the right rate. So you can see there's 3 steps. rotate the gear counterclockwise until you see ink being dispensed. Then rotate a quarter of the way clockwise, so in the reverse direction, just to equalize, and then just wipe off the excess ink on a napkin. So I'm going to rotate counterclockwise until I see ink coming out, which has just happened, and then a quarter degree clockwise, wipe the tip, and we're all set. So now we're going to mount the conductor onto the machine. So next up it's essentially going to find the X, Y, and Z off the tip of the nozzle, just like it did with the probe. And then we're going to do a small priming pattern just to make sure that everything's looking great before we start. So calibrate. So it's now found the X, Y, and Z locations off the tip of the nozzle. And it will perform a small priming sequence of a couple curved lines and a couple straight lines. So I have the ability to change the flow rate on the fly if I see that it's not high enough or too low. But right now it's looking fine. It's a little bit thicker than I would normally leave it, but I'll leave it that way so that you can get a good look at it while it's printing. All right, so that looks good. Next step is to wipe the priming pattern clean. Touch up the nozzle as well, and we're ready to go. So once again, I have the ability to change the flow rate on the fly, and we're going to start the print. You can see that a simple circuit like this just takes about 3.5 minutes, and it'll count down the entire way. Once it's done, it'll let you know that the print is complete, and you'll be able to go on to the curing step, which will raise the temperature of the heated bed right here to a point where it thermally sets the ink, and at that point the ink will be stable enough that it's, physically you can scratch at it, it'll be completely secure, and then at that point you would remove the conductor, add the solder paste, dispense paste onto the pads, add your components and reflow, or you could even hand solder with the solder wire that we provide with the kit. So right now it's just going to continue printing, and we'll give you a look once it's done.